Tekashi 6ix9ine, the rainbow-haired rapper, decided to cooperate with the feds to snitch out on his gang members, 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods, and some other people in the rap industry. This allegation spurred all sorts of reactions from people in the rap industry.
What I did wasn't snitching. What I did was being smart.
But some people chose to take 6ix9ine's side. In this video, I'll show you 7 rappers who chose to defend 6ix9ine since his snitching case. Kodak Black. Kodak Black did not hold back when it came to 6ix9ine snitching. He straight up called him a rat and a snitch on social media and in his music. On top of that, he accused 6ix9ine of jacking his style and biting his lyrics. Kodak has made it crystal clear that he's not about to cooperate with the authorities, even if it means doing some hard time. He's all about his gang, Sniper Gang, and his hometown, Pompano Beach, Florida. But here's the twist. Kodak himself has been accused of snitching on himself by other rappers and folks on the internet. Some folks are pointing fingers at his plea deals, his work with the FBI in a kidnapping case, and his supposed involvement in a shooting that took out a rival rapper. Kodak, though, is standing firm, saying he's innocent and denying all these allegations. Kodak Black pulled off quite the surprise that got everyone talking. The news hit that he teamed up with none other than Tekashi 6ix9ine, who's still holding the crown for hip-hop's biggest rat. And as expected, the track itself is loaded with disses. 6ix9ine kicks things off by taking a swipe at rapper NLE Choppa, spitting lines like, "Oh, you said that you the big shotter, the Don Dada, boom boom shakalaka, meet this big chopper, round of applause, make it clap, waka, waka, all that stupid heard was rah, rah, rah." Kodak, though, didn't hold back. He took aim at 6ix9ine right out of the gate, calling him a snitch and seemingly going after Puerto Rican rapper Annual AA with lines like, "How you lose to a snitch." Kodak Black wasn't pulling punches, and the drama didn't end there. Right after the song dropped, a snippet of some bars that didn't make the final cut surfaced on Kodak Black's producer Derek's story. In that snippet, Kodak raps about being so raw that he's got a rat giving him cheese, taking yet another shot at 6ix9ine. Right after the news about their collaboration dropped, Kodak started catching a whole lot of heat. You can imagine that this move didn't sit well with a bunch of Kodak's fans, especially the ones with some street connections who've been riding with him. It sparked a major uproar on social media. And guess who was quick to speak up? Yep, Boozy jumped right into the fray. This whole situation hit hard because, you see, back in 2020, Kodak had those pictures floating around of him chilling with Bloods in a federal facility. To make things even more intense, he got moved to one of the most infamous federal penitentiaries, USP Big Sandy, that very same year.
When I was in the feds, I was really like in a blood car. You know what I'm saying? But respect me because I ain't never start like talking down on my Z. I know that I ain't around y'all boys trying to act like y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Now, with all that said, why in the world would Kodak team up with Tekashi 6ix9ine? I mean, aside from the cash, it's a real head scratcher. The same gang that had Kodak's back while he was locked up is the one Tekashi snitched on. And yet they're making music together. It makes you wonder what's going on in Kodak's mind and why he's making moves like this. Rapper Boozy, who's all about that no snitching policy, shared his thoughts on IG Live. He basically said,
"I'm blaming the streets, bro. Streets still that. Come on, man. I thought that stood up for the street, man."
In an interesting twist, Kodak claimed he bagged a cool million for his part in the song, and he ain't shy about it, saying, "I don't give a I'm making $1 million plays with these jits." But then there's this disillusioned tone from another rapper who's questioning Kodak's values.
No loyalty, no principles over money, man. I mean, money can make you do anything, bro. The biggest rat in the world pay you $1 million to sell your soul.
Going even further, he starts questioning Kodak's authenticity and loyalty, going as far as to claim Kodak would do anything for money, even putting a in his mouth for $30 million. On the flip side, Kodak Black has a different take. He's standing by his decision to work with 6ix9ine on Shakalaka. He's straightforward about it, saying he did it for the cash and the exposure. He doesn't give a hoot about 6ix9ine's personal life. Kodak boldly states he's not scared of anyone and doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. He's just living life, stacking paper, and couldn't care less about what others think. There's also word going around that before they hit the studio, Kodak Black and 6ix9ine had a man-to-man chat to lay out their positions. And to top it off, there's this talk that Wack gifted Kodak keys to a Rolls Royce after they wrapped up the feature. Charleston White. Charleston White, like many folks in the world of pop culture, had something to say about 6ix9ine getting roughed up in an LA fitness bathroom after he snitched on his gang affiliates. You might have seen that video where a bunch of guys surrounded the rainbow-haired rapper and started throwing punches while he huddled on the floor. But Charleston didn't jump on the celebrate the beatdown bandwagon. People are pretty divided on whether 6ix9ine had it coming or not, and you'll find all sorts of opinions on social media. Some treat it like it's just another viral moment, not a serious crime. So Charleston White, the ex-gang gangster turned internet personality had some words for those who were making light of the whole incident. Now, a little backstory on Charleston White. This guy used to be part of a gang and even got locked up for murder when he was just 14. He spent 7 years behind bars, but now he's all about motivating people, making waves on social media, and advocating for young folks. He's been pretty vocal about his thoughts on 6ix9ine's whole snitching controversy, and that stirred up quite a bit of commotion and backlash.
He didn't do nothing wrong. He wasn't no gangster.
He also said something interesting about Tekashi's beatdown. Charleston White thought it wasn't all that bad when you look at the bigger picture. He even suggested that the cops drop their investigation. But here's the thing, instead of feeling sorry for the guy, White kind of hinted that this wasn't the real payback 6ix9ine deserves. It seems like he believes the Gummo rapper still owes something to someone. In an interview with Ugly Money TV, White talked about how the feds can mess with your head. They'll throw all sorts of info your way to make you doubt your gang's loyalty. They told 6ix9ine about his baby mama having a thing with his manager.
The next phone conversation they played, they got my woman and my OG on the phone talking about how good they any go tell.
They can even show you supposed proof of your buddies betraying you, all while you're locked up, just to make you snitch on them.
So why not tell on your homeboys and your ops? To get them on in here, you get on out and do to them what they was gonna do to you.
Now here's a twist. The rapper recently decided to ditch his security and try to live like a regular person. It's kind of noble, in a way, if he wants a normal civilian life, but considering his rep in the rap world and pop culture as a snitch, it's going to be tough. It's like walking a fine line between hopeful and maybe a bit naive. Charleston White didn't hold back when talking about Kodak Black teaming up with 6ix9ine.
If a ain't told on me and my friends, I still with him.
On the Big Facts podcast, he wasted no time and spoke his mind about those who criticized him for the information he shared about street life and culture. Some folks out there have gone as far as calling White a snitch, but he's quick to set things straight. He said, "I'm a citizen now. I'm a police ass. I go vote. I'm literally an election judge. The last to turn the votes in on. Election day. You goddamn right I'm a police ass." White, who's over 40 years old now, made it clear that he's not about to go back to jail at his age for anything. He even mentioned that he'd willingly snitch on anyone if it meant avoiding jail time. When asked if he was serious, he pointed out that because of his age, the chances of getting out of jail anytime soon would be pretty slim if he ever got locked up again. Charleston White has quite the background. He used to be in a gang, but has transformed into a social media personality known for his outspoken views on topics like snitching, gangs, rappers, and the black community. He doesn't shy away from calling the police on his enemies when necessary. One big showdown that made waves involved Charleston White and King Yella, a rapper from Chicago, who's also tied to the Black Disciples gang. Charleston didn't hold back. He called out King Yella, saying he's a phony activist and a hypocrite for promoting violence and disrespect towards women. He even claimed that King Yella was on the police's radar for various crimes and that he knew where the guy lived and how to reach him. Lev on Instagram, Charleston decided to dial up the police and reported King Yella, mentioning that he'd contact his parole officer next week.
You know, I did call the police. I just didn't get to talk to nobody. I went through a whole bunch of different law enforcement agencies and community supervised. Now, I really put in some effort to try to call somebody and talk to a probation officer.
While he was in Dallas, Texas, Charleston had a run-in with some gang members. The footage shows him chatting with the cops, shouting out what these gang folks supposedly did before the police got there. In one part of the video, Charleston is seen yelling at someone, and in another, he's pointing out the folks who were with a man who apparently pulled a gun on him.
You and your crew. He put the gun in the car, a silver gun.
50 Cent. During the heat of Tekashi's snitching allegation, the hip-hop veteran 50 Cent couldn't resist taking a jab at both Tekashi 6ix9ine and 21 Savage on social media. 50 Cent's got some serious wit. On Tuesday, he posted onto Instagram and dropped a joke about 6ix9ine spilling the beans on 21 Savage secretly being British while he was dealing with all that publicized ICE detainment drama. He also couldn't help but react to 6ix9ine mentioning Jim Jones during his testimony. He basically called Jim Jones a retired rapper, and you can bet there were plenty of LOLs involved. When 50 Cent claimed that 6ix9ine was like his son, 6ix9ine didn't miss a beat. He fired back, saying he wasn't shocked that 50 abandoned him, just like he did with his own flesh and blood, Marquise Jackson. Now, despite their past beef, it seemed like 50 Cent kind of got where 6ix9ine was coming from. In an interview on Big Boy's Neighborhood, he talked about how tough it is to throw your life away for someone who's messing with your baby mama and has a beef with you that could end in your demise. He even empathized with 6ix9ine, saying he understood how he must have been feeling. In another interview, when someone asked 50 Cent if 6ix9ine could still make it as a rapper, he didn't hesitate to say yes. He explained that today's rap audience doesn't really fuss over the snitching stuff.
He's completely alienated. There's no way out of it. Like you said, you can sit in jail for the rest of your life or for 20 years of your life, right? And support and be loyal to guys that was sleeping with your baby's mother and getting ready to attack your mother.
On top of that, 50 Cent spoke about why he never handed over his phone number to Tekashi. He basically wanted to steer clear of all the trouble that was brewing.
Tekashi 6ix9ine never had my phone number in his phone. Because I already know the kind of heat that would come with the things that they actually was happening.
He didn't want any part of that mess because he saw it coming from a mile away. Some folks thought he ditched 6ix9ine when the legal heat started, but in reality, he knew he wasn't the only voice in 6ix9ine's ear. Now here's the twist: 50 Cent himself has faced snitching accusations from his rivals and critics more than a few times. One claim was that he spilled a lot of business from his hood in one of his early tracks, Ghetto Koran. This apparently got under the skin of Kenneth Supreme McGriff, a big-time drug lord who folks thought might be behind the 2000 shooting that left 50 Cent with 9 bullets in him. There's another allegation that 50 Cent got a restraining order against Ja Rule and some of the Murder Inc. crew after they paid him a visit, and things got heated. This was back in 2000 at the Hit Factory recording studio, and 50 even got stabbed during the scuffle. This whole incident had people questioning his street cred and calling him a snitch, but 50 Cent was quick to deny those claims, saying Ja Rule's team made up the restraining order to mess with his reputation. Nicki Minaj had mixed feelings about 6ix9ine snitching. Even though many in the rap world gave him the cold shoulder for being a snitch, Nicki Minaj still decided to team up with him to make a hit song. On one side, she stood up for him, saying rappers shouldn't judge his choices for cooperating with the authorities. She argued that the rap scene had its share of people with questionable pasts, and snitching wasn't just a 6ix9ine thing. They went live on Instagram to chat about their collaboration, Trolls. They had different angles on it, but it was clear that the old Fefe collaborators felt the criticism they faced didn't quite match the real rap world. In their talk, they scolded rappers for being wishy-washy on snitching.
I feel street have every right to feel how they want to feel about snitching because they live that life.
Nicki even went further, discussing how folks might snitch and cut deals to save themselves when backed into a corner.
I feel rappers need to play it easy because everybody mingles and you know, integrates with everybody. And if a top executive rap call one of y'all unsigned rappers right now, sign y'all sign it.
Nicki made a point of explaining the difference between rappers and street folks, saying each group should stick to their own rules.
You know, I'm not on the block with 6ix9ine. Me and 6ix9ine is not on the block. We in the music business. So you rappers is in rooms all the time with people with sketchy pasts, and I'm not judging anybody because that's just, I'm not doing that. I have nothing but respect for so many of these people.
Nicki Minaj also pointed out they were in the music business, suggesting that snitching didn't mess up their creative teamwork. But she understood that folks from the streets had their own feelings about snitching because they lived that life. She mentioned that her husband, Kenneth Petty, who has a criminal record, wasn't cool with 6ix9ine snitching, and she respected his viewpoint because he came from a different world. She even admitted being nervous about the backlash from teaming up with 6ix9ine, but she had to conquer that fear to follow her desires. Even though Nicki managed to dodge a $20 million lawsuit from Jennifer Ho, who accused her husband Kenneth Petty of rape, she firmly denied any coercion, bribery, or gang ties. Ho's lawyers claimed that Nicki and Petty were part of the Mac Baller Brims, supposedly one of the toughest gangs in New York. Ho also alleged that the couple tried to bribe her with over $500,000 to change her story. Nicki rejected these claims, including the idea that they sent gang members to intimidate Ho. Before Nicki released the track with Tekashi, she shared on her Instagram that a portion of the earnings from Trolls, along with merch sales, would directly support the Bail Project, Inc. This fund would provide help to the low-income folks who can't afford bail while waiting for their trials. Nicki wanted to back and protect the thousands of people on the front lines fighting for social justice and demanding an end to the unfair targeting and killing of Black Americans by the police. Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke also shared his thoughts on 6ix9ine's snitching allegation during a podcast chat. He gave props to 6ix9ine's musical talents, stating no one could deny that, snitching aside. However, when it came to snitching, he felt 6ix9ine should have been more true to himself and should not have portrayed himself in the light that he did, so people wouldn't be shocked by his actions. Pop Smoke didn't throw shade at 6ix9ine, but he did mention that the colorful-haired rapper wasn't street savvy, and that's where he stumbled.
To be honest, homie, before homie was started snitching, son was doing his thing.
Right. No, for sure.
That's all I can say. Son was doing his thing. Besides the snitching
shit, he had solid music.
He was doing his thing.
He also stated now that according to Pop Smoke,
now I don't think he was a real street, you feel me? And I feel like that's where people f***ed up by portraying, making him portray that. He's not a street.
He was put in a weird position.
it seemed like 6ix9ine was trying to be something he didn't quite grasp.
I think he f***ed up by trying to mix that super street with the internet. And then
because you just snitching on yourself.
Exactly, and he got caught up.
Pop Smoke's take on 6ix9ine not being a street dude stemmed from his affiliation with the Woos before he passed away. He had ties with the Woos, a Brooklyn gang collective known for their rivalry with another group called the Chews, which authorities have linked to some serious conflicts. Pop Smoke himself highlighted this connection in his first two mixtapes, Meet the Woo and Meet the Woo 2. Different sources have revealed that the feds initially attempted to get Pop Smoke to spill the beans when he got arrested back in December 2019. The charges were related to allegedly having a stolen Rolls-Royce Wraith, but the police also had questions about a shooting in Brooklyn that happened in June 2019. They thought Pop Smoke might have some info because they claimed to have seen him driving a car in reverse near the crime scene. On top of that, the police tried to squeeze Pop Smoke for details on various Brooklyn street gangs like the 823 Crips and GS9, but he stood his ground and didn't cooperate. Some other sources believe that they hit Pop Smoke with a federal grand theft auto charge to put pressure on him to talk. This move raised eyebrows because, as per the New York Times, the feds getting involved in a car theft case is not something you see every day in a federal indictment. They were hoping that the federal charges would convince him to talk and meet with them. Sometimes the feds step in when they think it might help more than a state court case. The NYPD took another swing at trying to get Pop Smoke to cooperate when they brought up the same grand theft auto charge in January. While he was in custody, they pressed him again about his ties to the 823 Crips and more non-fatal shootings. But Pop Smoke wasn't budging. He posted a $250,000 bond, agreed to stay away from known gang members, and said he'd do drug tests as part of his release conditions. Wack 100. Wack 100 has a knack for diving into controversies that don't always involve him directly, so it's no surprise that he decided to weigh in on the 6ix9ine situation. Remember that parking lot brawl between 6ix9ine and Meek Mill that caused a stir in 2021? Well, the rapper and longtime manager of the game shared his thoughts about 6ix9ine not being a snitch during a podcast.
I believe, hey, everybody got to be held accountable for what they do. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I got mixed feelings about this little kid. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, he did what he did, but on
6ix9ine.
Yeah, on the same note, he shouldn't have never been in a position to do what he did.
Wack's take is pretty straightforward. He believes that 6ix9ine had access to some serious secrets about the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods gang, stuff that should have stayed hush-hush. In his view, 6ix9ine should have never been in a position to know these inside details.
And the fact that they allowed him to come in is what, him being inside of it is what gave him information.
They chose to bring him into that.
Once you brought him in and you allowed him to see certain things, you're discussing certain things, you know what I mean? He shouldn't have never had the information that he had.
Wack 100 goes as far as to call 6ix9ine a civilian and says that civilians are all about telling the truth, not snitching. To make his point, he gave an example. Imagine a group of straight guys inviting a gay fella into their locker room. They can't get mad if he takes a peek, right? Or think about 6ix9ine as a circus clown who's all decked out in crazy attire. But at the end of the day, he is just a regular guy like everyone else. So in Wack's words, I've got mixed feelings on 6ix9ine. He did what he did, but at the same time, he never should have been in a position to do it.
He don't fall up under that script. He don't fall up under that real code. No matter, somebody can press play and show me a dude running a train on my wife and the dude that killed my brother and this. The code say whatever it is going on, I got to deal with that how I got to deal with that. I don't deal with that through the law.
According to Wack 100, 6ix9ine was never really a street guy, so it's no wonder he acted in the same way every other person would act when things got tough. In his words, they put this kid in a situation he shouldn't have been in. What he did was, he just went back to who he really was. He took the costume off. So I've got mixed feelings when we call this kid a snitch, because I believe civilians don't snitch. They tell the truth. Wack's perspective might have a lot to do with his own background. You see, he grew up in South Central Los Angeles and got mixed up in the gang scene from a young age. He was a part of the Crips gang and had his fair share of run-ins with the law, facing charges like assault and robbery along the way. T-Pain. Veteran rapper T-Pain recently dropped some thoughts on the whole 6ix9ine snitching situation during an appearance on the Big Boys Neighborhood podcast. He didn't hold back and straight up said,
I would snitch so hard
Right.
Then he went on to defend 6ix9ine's actions, pointing out that the guy has family and a daughter to look out for. T-Pain argued that people who claim 6ix9ine wasn't thinking about his family when he got involved in shady stuff are dead wrong, saying, yes, he was. T-Pain made it clear that 6ix9ine's got a family to take care of, and despite the folks saying he shouldn't. I have gotten mixed up in all that trouble in the first place. T believes he did it to boost his status, street cred, and provide for his family. He questioned, at some point, when does the street code override your family? Because these some niggas you just met 2 years ago. You got a full daughter, you got a whole daughter. Who are you really being loyal to? T-Pain also acknowledged that he knew it was just a matter of time before 6ix9ine, who he called the king of New York for a bit, would get caught up in the mess. He summed it up by saying, most kings fall, bro. A king can't be a king forever. T-Pain didn't take too kindly to the backlash he got from another video where fans labeled him a snitch because of his comments on 6ix9ine's case. He wanted to clear the air and make it crystal clear that he'd never been involved in snitching himself. In his own words, T-Pain explained that he wasn't endorsing snitching. He was just being realistic about the situation. He stressed that he wasn't trying to persuade anyone to snitch, but rather he was sharing his personal take on what he would do if he were facing a life sentence. He made it known that he's not a street person and never signed up for that kind of life. When it comes to T-Pain's own experiences with snitching and gang violence, he hasn't shared a whole lot. He did mention in a few interviews that he grew up in a tough neighborhood in Tallahassee, Florida, where he witnessed some heavy stuff like drug dealing, shootings, and robberies. He even opened up about being shot during a robbery attempt at his recording studio back in 2007 and tragically losing one of his closest friends to gun violence. So he's seen his fair share of the rough side of life. And that's it for this video, rap fans. If you want to see similar stories about the rap world, click on one of the cards on the screen.